Hey YouTubers, and anybody kind of follow me on my journey as I, get all this stuff done. Today I'm going to share with you my marketing strategy and basically how I intend to implement what I want to try to implement over the next year or two. Now keep in mind, many of this is going to be an ongoing for decades, but I just kind of want to paint a picture for you guys right now and here, kind of like how I'm going about this. So first, initially, I'm marketing myself. I don't have all the resources, I don't have all the connections, if you will. I just moved into Kelowna about I guess we're coming up on 2 years. And this is what I moved out here to do, is to get into aquaponics, get into sustainable living, and do my part to contribute to the understanding and application of making this world a much better place to live in. Now, as you're already kind of familiar with, I've chosen video marketing as my main tool to get this done. And thus far it's been quite a long learning curve with many more learning to go on how to pull that together. So it definitely has sort of delayed where I thought I was going to be, but at the same time, it is what it is. I'm having fun learning it, and yeah. So without further ado per se, let's dive into a little bit on the video stuff that I'm doing. So you've probably seen a few odd videos. I've got literally hundreds more to make. And my whole goal is to make a network of videos. All bite-sized, all digestible, all stuff that you don't necessarily need to have a huge knowledge base in a particular subject to understand. So I'm trying to keep this as simple as I can get it. So, hypothetically speaking, we got some, say, heavy topics, right? Whatever. This is all arbitrary. I'm just drawing circles on a map. So, maybe I'll hit up on, aquaponics on one, business and, like economy, politics, whatever, right? So, as I take on this, introduction, these are going to branch off into smaller videos. And the whole idea behind this is, again, this could be a bunch of videos that I make, right? And so these are all connected in subjects, but what I'm really trying to get at is there's a lot of subjects that don't necessarily come together. Like if you were to go to university or study a lot of these specifically, they don't really teach you the relationship between why this subject matters with this subject and how they're actually part of a larger system. So you become a specialist here, somebody else becomes a specialist here, but they're not really communicating between the two subjects too well. And that's where there's a lot of conflict. That's where I believe a lot of solutions can come to when we can have a proper understanding of those relationships. So, many of these subjects are going to be linked and connected, and these two might be connected, these two might be connected. Imagine this with like literally hundreds of videos in the end. Also, one of my goals too is to promote other people's work. There's a lot of research, a lot of videos, a lot of information out there that I do not need to repeat myself or themselves on. So for an example, maybe there's a good video here on YouTube. It's connected to this subject and this here, and this is what this is how it's going to come together, right? And eventually I'll have a website where I'll throw out, after I've got this could be, I'm thinking into the next year I'll probably get the website up, but before, it's going to take a lot of work before it's, at this level. But I'm going to have a website where it'll walk you through this process. I'm going to use YouTube as where all the videos go, but they're going to be just, all over the place for random viewing. But I'm going to have a story behind it. I'm going to be able to connect these dots. I'm going to go from here to here to here to here to here in a sort of blog that'll illustrate kind of a greater concept. Because without these little tidbits, I'm getting people, deer in the headlights. I start talking about something and they're just like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. So this is my effort to try to help you out on that one. So through this process, I'm also going to be helping out other local businesses. I'm obviously marketing myself. I'm trying to get connections with myself, with people in the local community. So I got some ideas and examples in mind already. There's definitely different farms, permaculture groups or whatever. There's some businesses, whether they're related or not, even just for my own practice. Like for example, I want to do a green screen video one day, and do a little bit of work with the lighting company that I did work with to make it work. Anyway, that's another video. So just an example, like where I got my worms for my aquaponics system. He's got a business out here. but I'm sure he does not have the video equipment, the skills, the software, like all that, you know, to package together to give himself a really powerful online presence, if you will. He's got a website, you know, you can find him by Googling him just as easily, but what I want to do is put the spotlight on, say, the worm farm guy and what he's doing in his story, and then be able to combine that or link that to another person. So maybe somebody else has got a cattle ranch or whatever the case may be, chicken farms or whatever, you know, and I'm able to basically paint this community that we have within the area of Kelowna, using all these different sort of, you know, people involved. So I'm telling a bunch of different stories, but then they're going to get connected. I'm going to have them introduced, you know, maybe do dinners and, you know, quote-unquote business meetings with these people and facilitate a larger picture project that I have my minds on. So when this all happens, I'm getting out there, I'm meeting people, and this is how they're going to get to know me. I'm putting my money where my mouth is, I'm putting the work in. You know, these video projects takes a lot of time. I'd say 95% of what I do is like, 5% is video, 95% is putting that video together. So I mean, like, even this video project is probably going to take me all day to effectively work on. You know, and that's not including all the brainstorming I've done for, you know, months. But anyway, that's beside the point. It takes a lot of time to do this, and that is going to help. You know, if somebody's got like $1 million or $10 million that they want to invest in a large project, and they're going to go, okay, well, how can they, you know, enlist in me or trust in me that I will do the job that I'm saying I'm going to do, you know? Because as you can tell, I'm making mistakes as I go. You're seeing my learning curve, and, you know, like, that is the way it is. You know, I'm not going to sit here and go, oh yeah, I've got, you know, well, I got no experience. Can't even keep some of my houseplants alive just now, but the idea behind it is I'm going to be the right person to invest in. So even if things and hiccups come up, you're going to see my integrity, you're going to see how I work, how I solve problems, so that way you or somebody else will be able to go, okay, yeah, I'm going to want to invest in this concept, in my business, in this guy to get things done. This is the right guy to talk to. So another interesting concept that I have, I want to build many businesses, but I don't wish to own them, you know, by myself. That's too much work, you know. To run a business takes a lot of time. The only way you can really own multiple businesses is through the markets, you know, basically buying shares and then choosing which board meetings to go to. And to me, that has no place in my vision of how the community is. On a community level, yes, but effectively speaking, businesses will have their own, you know, heads and run, you know, their own teams effectively. So even though I got a lot of these ideas and all of these businesses I want to promote, I can't do it all myself, right? So take it for example, greenhouse building. You know, I'm not exactly a carpenter. I don't exactly wish to be a carpenter, although I do wish to get my hands on. So in these videos, I'm going to go on and, you know, document and, you know, get my hands dirty with them and build greenhouses, build aquaponic systems, build whatever needs to be built. But at the end of the day, these companies aren't mine. They're somebody else's, then helping them build their business. And maybe they already have a pre-established business. Maybe there's a, I haven't met the person yet or anything like that, but maybe there's somebody out here that's, you know, got an egg farm of some sorts. And, you know, I want to be able to help grow their business. Because by growing their business with a bunch of other businesses that are all related, we can create a network community of businesses, and together we can, you know, get the idea of having a local economy, a local food source, local, you know, we don't need to import all this crap from other places in the world. We can do it locally. But it requires a large team of people, a big network of people to pull that off. And so all those little details, all those little businesses, all those little things, I want to help you guys do that because the big picture is my goal. That's what I want to do. So just a little tidbit, for an example, one of the businesses that I could potentially see myself owning, because I want to spend most of my time in aquaponics at the end of the day. That's the subject of study I really, really want to perfect because I think it's really, really important. So let's say you wanted to grow, or you wanted your own backyard system. So it wouldn't really matter if it's like a $2,000 system, a $20,000, $200,000, or $2 million system. I want to try to and bear with me, there's a lot of details and number crunching to be figured out to make this real, but this is what I want to be able to do, is basically make it into something like an MLM network marketing business. Not the recruitment side. Everybody hates recruiting. That's that's not what I'm talking about. The part that I like the most is, let's say, and this is the goal I want to do. Let's say you wanted to buy a $20,000 home system through me. I want to be able to one day, after you've proven that you can take care of it, that it's functional, that it's, you know, worth giving back to you, I want to give it back to you. So maybe not 100%. There might be, you know, maybe it's construction, maybe it's parts. I don't know. But I want to be able to, in 5 years from now, write you a check or whatever and say, hey, here you go. And virtually maybe have your entire system paid off for in that 5 years. That is my way, or this is my way of how I think I can contribute and give back to society. I think this is a great way to reform taxes, you know, by giving it back to people, like their investment, as long as they prove that it's worth it. I mean, if I come back in 5 years and do a video project and it's basically in pieces in the garage because you've given up, no, sorry man, you're not getting any money. Now, where's this money coming from? Somehow built into the price, there'll be like a profit margin, right? Obviously, you know, there's overhead costs, there's labor costs, there's, you know, the cost of doing business. But then there's this profit range, right? Within that profit range, there's taxes that we give to the government. And depending on what country you live in, there's obviously different tax laws and implementations and things you'd have to figure out, you know, wherever. But instead of paying taxes to a government that's just going to, and I'll get into a tax video later on, waste it completely, like it's useless. I hate governments. They waste probably 90% of the money they get. Very inefficient. And what I want to be able to do is, instead of paying that tax, set it up in such a way where it becomes a maybe a write-off for me, as long as we live in the current governments and stuff like that. I mean, eventually I want to get rid of the government, but you know, that could be many decades down the road. But effectively, you know, take that and say, here's the check. I get written off, I'm not paying taxes on it, and instead of paying taxes to somebody else's, you know, private jet slash, you know, like the power structure that's abusing it, it's going to go back into somebody in the local community that is already proven to sustain themselves off of the aquaponics system they bought off me. Now this, I hope to be able to do with greenhouses. I hope that if I can successfully figure it out, you can go widespread on it, you know, like, and encourage other businesses to basically adopt the same principles within their thing. So another, and I don't want to get into too many details on this one, but another really good example is we're building a lot of wooden houses. Yeah, we live in BC, wood is cheap, we can cut it down, blah blah blah. It is technically a renewable resource, but in the end of the day, houses rarely last 100 years. And those that do, who wants to live in a house that is 100 years old? Now, don't get me wrong, there are some that have held the test of time and they're still good, but they're generally temporary housing. They're like a step up from tents, and I don't like that. You go back in Europe, they're all made of stone and rock, and their houses are hundreds and hundreds, and if not even some of them, thousands of years old. We should be building houses that last long beyond our lifetimes. And the idea that I want to do with that is basically getting into cement housing. Long story short, there's a way where we can basically turn cement into a foam, making it a lot more lighter, and there's a lot of properties in it. Like, it's not like a better thermal conductivity. I'll get into that in another video. We should be building cement houses. And so with that said in mind, maybe, you know, like obviously those are a little bit more expensive to build initially, but that same marketing strategy of being able to, in 50 years or 100 years, go back to the family and go, hey, here you go. Here, you know, house is good. Here you go. Maybe by then it won't matter. I don't know. The details will be figured out. Alright, so I think I've done a pretty good job at hitting all the points that I wanted to make in this video. Obviously, there's a lot of little points in here that I could probably elaborate more on. So maybe in future videos I'll address those in better detail. But in the time being, if you got a question, feel free and ask. You know, whether it's, you know, however you can reach me, leave a comment. Leave a comment and I can address it. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that, and I hope you got a good idea of what I'm trying to do, and we'll see you around. Have a good day.